Most buyers think any truck will last 200,000 miles, but Consumer Reports just proved that dead wrong. Full-size, mid-size, and electric pickups are now the three worst vehicle categories for reliability in 2024. Not sedans, not crossovers, trucks. The vehicles Americans drop $60,000 to $80,000 on are failing faster than ever. Today, we're counting down 15 disposable trucks engineered to self-destruct right after the warranty expires. Some of these picks will shock you. Toyota's on here twice. Honda made the list. And the number one truck, it scored 4 out of 100 in reliability testing. 4. These trucks are built to impress during test drives and photo shoots, then fall apart precisely when it hurts your wallet most. Here are 15 trucks you should absolutely avoid. Number 15, 2024 Chevy Silverado EV/GM Sierra EV. Let's start with the newest disaster on wheels. Consumer Reports gave these electric full-size trucks a predicted reliability score of 2 out of 5. That's abysmal for vehicles that haven't even been on the road long enough to develop a track record. Here's the interesting detail nobody talks about. These trucks share the BT1 platform with the Hummer EV, which is already showing problems with software glitches and electrical gremlins. GM is essentially asking buyers to spend $80,000 or more to beta test their electric truck technology. The Silverado EV promises up to 492 miles of range, but early owners on forums are already reporting that real-world range falls short and charging infrastructure headaches make long trips a gamble. The problem with first-generation electric trucks is simple. Manufacturers are still figuring out how to build them reliably, and you're paying full price to be their crash test dummy. When these batteries degrade or the complex electrical systems fail outside warranty, replacement costs will make traditional engine repairs look cheap. Number 14, 2020 to 2023. Honda Ridgeline with 9-speed transmission. Honda's reputation for reliability took a beating with this one. There's an active class action lawsuit targeting the ZF 9-speed transmission in these Ridgelines, along with the Pilot, Odyssey, and Passport. The lawsuit alleges a programming defect causes erratic shifting that makes normal driving genuinely dangerous. Honda's solution? Software updates that mask the symptoms rather than fix the root cause. When the transmission finally fails completely outside warranty, you're looking at replacement costs that make the Ridgeline's resale value crater. Forums are full of owners who loved everything about the truck except the transmission that makes it borderline undrivable in real-world conditions. Number 13, 2017, Nissan Titan second generation. Automotive professionals call the 2017 Titan the worst model year in terms of repairs. That's saying something for a truck that was supposed to represent Nissan's fresh start in the full-size segment after years of the previous generation's rear differential disasters. The NHTSA complaint database tells the story. Owners reported severe engine problems, including engine knocking, crankshaft failures, and complete engine failure. We're talking catastrophic failures that required full engine replacements, and many happened well before trucks hit 100,000 miles. One owner described hearing a loud noise from the engine upon starting, accompanied by vibrations and smoke from the engine compartment due to an exploded plenum. Number 12, 2023 to 2024 Chevy Colorado/GMC Canyon. The all-new Colorado and Canyon represent General Motors' attempt to compete in the mid-size truck segment. But Consumer Reports won't even rank them yet because there aren't enough on the road to gather reliable data. What they will say is that predicted reliability is poor, which is code for we expect problems but can't prove it yet. The concerning part is that these trucks share engineering DNA with the full-size Silverado and Sierra, which means they're likely inheriting the same chronic issues that have plagued GM trucks for years. First model years are always risky, but when the manufacturer already has a proven track record of quality problems, betting on their latest truck is like playing Russian roulette with your bank account. Number 11, 2017 to 2019 Honda Ridgeline with 6-speed transmission. Before Honda moved to the problematic 9-speed transmission, they had plenty of issues with the 6-speed. Owner forums documented 71 reported transmission failures on these model years, and that's just the people who bothered posting online. Honda quietly extended warranties on affected units because torque converter failures became so common that dealers knew the problem by heart. Here's the kick in the teeth. These failures typically happen just after the warranty expired, around 60 to 70,000 miles. Repairs cost $5,000, and that's if you caught it before the torquey converter completely destroyed the transmission. Multiple owners on Consumer Reports mentioned getting intermittent transmission problem warnings that the dealer couldn't diagnose until the torquey converter finally gave up completely. One owner in Texas summed it up perfectly. The vehicle management system alerted them to a problem which was determined to be the torque converter. They experienced no problems other than the system warnings until it was time to pay $5,000 for a repair 6 months after the warranty expired. That's not coincidence. That's engineering components to last exactly as long as the warranty requires and not 1 mile more. Number 10, 2022 to 2023 Nissan Frontier. Consumer Reports scored the newest Frontier at 24 out of 100. Let that sink in. 24. That's catastrophically low for a brand new generation that was supposed to fix everything wrong with the ancient previous model that Nissan sold for nearly 15 years. The problems start early too. Owners are reporting transmission issues at an average of just 22,000 miles. We're talking about trucks still covered by the basic warranty having problems that suggest they won't make it much past that coverage. Camera systems are failing, with one owner reporting the passenger side 360 camera just went completely pink. The clock spring is popping and failing, which is a major safety issue because that's what powers your airbag through the steering wheel. Multiple owners describe a demon cruise control issue where the system does something weird to the transmission, causing excessive wear. One owner took their 2024 Pro 4X to the shop more times in the first 22,000 miles than any vehicle they'd ever owned. They listed tire recalls, loose bolts rolling around in door panels, a 360 camera that died, cruise control transmission problems, a failing clock spring, and popping sounds from the steering column. All on a truck with less than 25,000 miles. Number 9, 2013 to 2016, Ram 1500 with early 8-speed. Ram's switch to the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission was supposed to be a game-changer for fuel economy and smooth shifting. Instead, it became a nightmare for early adopters. These first-generation 8-speeds suffered from hesitation during gear changes, hard shifts that felt like getting rear-ended, and complete transmission failures. The worst part is how many owners went through multiple transmissions. One person on Ram forums reported their 2014 8-speed went through 2 complete transmission replacements before hitting 50,000 miles. They were told the transmissions were indestructible until their truck proved otherwise twice. The forums are filled with advice about using only OEM Lifeguard 8 fluid because aftermarket fluid makes the shifting problems even worse. When owners are that deep into transmission fluid science, you know there's a systemic problem. Number 8, 2004 to 2008 Nissan Titan first generation. The first generation Titan had a problem that's become legendary in the worst possible way. The rear differential would catastrophically fail, leaving owners stranded with repair bills ranging from $2,900 to over $4,000. Nissan defenders will point out that only about 1% of trucks had the problem, but when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of trucks sold, 1% is still thousands of failures. The failure mode was particularly nasty. A C-clip would fail, allowing the gears inside the differential to chew themselves apart. When that happened, four-wheel drive stopped working and differential fluid leaked everywhere. The NHTSA received over 450 complaints for just the 2024 model year alone regarding drivetrain issues. That's not a small problem. That's a pattern of defective engineering. Number 7, 2007 to 2019, Chevy Silverado / GMC Sierra with AFM or DFM. This is where we enter the realm of engineering disasters that span more than a decade. General Motors' active fuel management and later dynamic fuel management systems were designed to save 1 to 2 miles per gallon by shutting down half the cylinders under light load. Instead, they've destroyed engines across millions of trucks at a cost of $7,000 to $8,000 per repair. The lifters that enable cylinder deactivation collapse, bend push rods, and damage the camshaft. When that happens, metal shavings circulate through the entire engine. Owners describe a ticking sound like a diesel engine that gets progressively louder until the check engine light comes on with a cylinder misfire code. By then, the damage is done. The engine needs lifters, a camshaft, push rods, and often more extensive work to clean out all the metal debris. Number 6, 2017 to 2020, Ford F-150 EcoBoost 3.5-liter second generation. Ford's second generation 3.5-liter EcoBoost fixed many problems from the first generation, including leaking coolant fittings and failing vacuum pumps. They also introduced a new problem that's arguably worse. The cam phasers fail, not might fail, not sometimes fail, they inevitably fail. Here's how it works. Oil drains out of the cam phasers overnight when the truck sits. When you start it cold, there's a brief window where the phasers don't have enough oil pressure to lock in place, causing them to rattle violently for a second or two. That rattling slowly damages the phasers until they fail completely, requiring a $3,000 plus repair that involves removing the valve covers and front engine cover. Number 5, 2022 to 2024, Toyota Tundra third generation. This one hurts because Toyota built their entire reputation on bulletproof reliability. The third generation Tundra was supposed to prove they could compete with the Detroit 3 in the modern truck market. Instead, it proved they'd forgotten how to build a truck that works. Consumer Reports pulled the Tundra from their recommended list after the first wave of owner complaints hit triple digits. These aren't minor issues. Toyota recalled 280,000 Tundras because the transmission could creep forward when shifted into neutral. That's a pretty significant safety problem when your truck can move on its own, even though you put it in what's supposed to be a non-moving gear. The worst part is how badly this damaged Toyota's reputation. The Tundra now has worse predicted reliability than the Nissan Titan. Read that again. Toyota, the company people bought specifically for reliability, built a truck less dependable than Nissan. Multiple automotive publications named it SUV of the year, and Consumer Reports yanked it from recommendations in the same month. That's not bad luck. That's a fundamental failure of quality control. Number 4, 2005 to 2010 Toyota Tacoma. The Tacoma frame rust scandal cost Toyota $3.4 billion in settlements. That's billion with a B. This wasn't surface rust that you could sand and paint over. The frames were rotting from the inside out so badly that gas tanks fell off on the highway and trucks collapsed while driving. Toyota used frames supplied by Dana that had a coating defect. Instead of protecting the metal, the coating trapped moisture and salt, accelerating rust formation. Owners would look under their trucks and see metal that had puffed up like a sponge. You could take a putty knife and peel off sheets of rusted steel. The structural integrity was so compromised that safety inspectors were failing trucks left and right. Over 710,000 trucks were eventually recalled for leaf spring failures too. When a leaf spring broke from rust and stress, it could contact the fuel tank and puncture it or sever brake lines. Toyota knew about broken springs as early as 2006, installed a clip in 2010, closed an investigation in 2011, claiming there weren't enough damaged tanks and brake lines, then had to issue a massive recall in 2014 when the evidence became undeniable. That's not a company taking care of customers. That's a company minimizing liability for as long as legally possible. Number 3, 2020 to 2022 Jeep Gladiator. The Jeep death wobble is so infamous it has its own Wikipedia page. The Gladiator took a problem Jeep had been dealing with for years on the Wrangler and made it worse by adding a truck bed that changes the weight distribution. The result is a mid-sized truck that becomes genuinely dangerous at highway speeds. Here's what happens. You're driving at 65 to 70 miles per hour on the interstate. You hit a bump or an expansion joint in the pavement. Suddenly, the entire front end of the truck starts shaking violently. The steering wheel jerks back and forth so hard you can barely hold on. The only way to make it stop is to slow down to 25 or 30 miles per hour, which is terrifying when you're in the middle of highway traffic going 75. Jeep eventually settled a class action lawsuit and offered free replacement parts. The problem is the fix doesn't always work. Owners report having the steering damper replaced, then the problem comes back a year later. They replace tie rod ends and drag links under warranty. Problem comes back again. One owner had their Gladiator repaired for death wobble 3 separate times, with the second repair being more extensive than just the damper. They're now part of the class action lawsuit because the repairs didn't solve the fundamental design flaw. What makes this unforgivable is that Jeep had already settled a death wobble lawsuit for the 2018 to 2019 Wrangler before the Gladiator went into production. They knew about the problem. They launched the Gladiator anyway with the same steering components. They continued selling trucks with a known defect that makes them dangerous on highways, because settling lawsuits and issuing TSBs is cheaper than re-engineering the front suspension. Number 2, 2021 Chevy Silverado GMC Sierra, 5.3-liter and 6.2-liter. The 2021 model year gets its own entry separate from the broader AFM and DFM problems because these trucks had factory defective lifters that were guaranteed to fail. We're not talking about the usual AFM lifter failures that happen at 70 to 100,000 miles. These lifters were failing before the first oil change was due. One owner bought a 2021 Silverado High Country and had lifter failure at 11,000 miles. They needed the engine opened up before the second oil change. Another owner bought a 2024 AT4 with a 6.2-liter and had catastrophic engine failure at just 6,000 miles due to lifter issues. That's 6,000 miles. The truck hadn't even finished breaking in. GM blamed pandemic-era quality control problems. They said supply chain issues led to defective parts making it into production. That excuse might work if the problem stopped with trucks built in 2021. It didn't. Trucks built in 2022, 2023, and even 2024 are still having the same lifter failures at low mileage. One dealer service department told an owner they're now seeing lower bearing failures on top of the lifter failures in 6.2-liter engines. The repair cost is staggering. Owners are paying $8,500 for lifter and camshaft replacement when it happens outside warranty. Even if you're covered, the truck is out of commission for weeks while the dealer waits for back-ordered parts. Multiple owners reported their trucks being at the dealer for 2 months, waiting for a transmission or engine components during the height of the parts shortage. Number 1, 2023 Ford F-150 Hybrid PowerBoost. This is it. The worst truck you can buy. Consumer Reports gave the F-150 Hybrid a score of 4 out of 100. 4. To get a score that catastrophically low, the truck had to score near 0 in almost all 17 reliability categories Consumer Reports tests. The problems range from structural failures to aesthetic disasters. Owners report burnt transmission fluid at low mileage. The hybrid batteries die prematurely. The center console software barely functions. The hard plastic interior breaks with normal use. Multiple systems fail simultaneously, leaving owners with trucks that spend more time at the dealer than in their driveways. Here's the cruel irony. Ford marketed the PowerBoost Hybrid as the pinnacle of F-150 innovation. Pro Power onboard gives you 7.2 kilowatts of mobile generator capacity. The hybrid powertrain delivers more torque and better towing than the non-hybrid. It's supposed to represent the future of trucks. The MSRP starts around $65,000 and climbs into the 70s for well-equipped models. Dealers can't keep up with warranty repairs. Parts are back-ordered for months. Owners are left with expensive trucks that don't work while Ford figures out how to fix problems they should have caught before production. This isn't just a reliability disaster. It's a complete failure of quality control, engineering oversight, and corporate responsibility. The F-150 is America's best-selling vehicle and has been for decades. Ford took that goodwill and trust, then delivered a hybrid version that scores lower in reliability than any other vehicle sold in the United States. That takes a special kind of incompetence. The pattern across all 15 trucks is clear. Manufacturers are prioritizing profit margins over durability. They're engineering trucks to survive the warranty period and not much longer. They're using customers as beta testers for new technology. And when problems surface, they settle lawsuits, issue quiet technical service bulletins to dealers, and keep the production lines running. The old rule about avoiding first-year redesigns has never been more important. Toyota proved that even manufacturers with sterling reputations can completely botch a new generation. If you're in the market for a truck, seriously consider extended warranties. Buy a model that's been on the market for at least 2 or 3 years so the worst problems have been identified and hopefully fixed. And demand better. A $65,000 truck should last 300,000 miles with basic maintenance. The fact that we're now measuring reliability in whether a truck makes it past the warranty period without catastrophic failure is absurd. These manufacturers can build reliable trucks. They just choose not to because planned obsolescence is more profitable. If this list made you rethink what trucks are really worth buying, check out our video on the 23 most controversial cars ever made. Some of those vehicles faced backlash for design choices, but at least they worked, unlike these 15 disposable trucks.